Hey, what's going on? Of course, to all of my freaks and my minions of darkness. It is your, of course, your intellectual curvy gamer, Quita, aka Blasian Quita, and welcome to Sin TV Now, where, of course, we talk about the importance of the multicultural perspective in gaming culture, as well as bringing awareness to AMBW. So for today's episode, I wanted to just kick it off with the highest impact that I could possibly do. Let's talk about AMBW romance books, but in particular today, I am going to be doing a review of this awesome AMBW romance that is called In the Quiet Night, and it is written by A.C. Amorales. Hopefully I'm saying that correct, but you know, here on the show, I do my best. So this is what happened, okay? I hinted on my Twitter that I was going to be talking about how you can find AMW books. Now, let me backtrack here a little bit. For those of you who are not familiar with the acronym, AMBW stands for Asian Man, Black Woman, and we all know how crazy obsessed I am with them. No. I am being so messy that I'm to the point that how will I ever get a man? I mean, to the future man that unfortunately you have to end up with this Grim Reaper, I am truly sorry for today's episode. But hopefully you will understand when we get together. Okay, that's besides the point. But I hinted on my Twitter, which of course you know, twitter.com/SINTVNow, that I was going to be talking about how can you find BW books on Amazon. And it's quite really easy. The challenging thing is finding AMW or AMBW, I can't talk today, AMBW books that are outside of the romantic element. That is extremely difficult, and that's why I'm kind of trying to do more research about this so that I can give those recommendations. But this book, okay, In the Quiet Night, it is so juicy, guys, that I finished this entire book in one night. I was up until 4 a.m. today reading this book. That is how good the author just captures you into this romance between Hiro and Naima. Okay, so let me give a little bit of spoilers, but I'm not going to give away the whole tea because you really need to read this book because it is that dang good. So this is just kind of like an overview about some of the things that happen in the book. First off, we are introduced to our protagonist whose name is Naima. And Naima is very similar to me. She is currently going to school for education, and she completed her bachelor's at the University of California at Berkeley, okay? Both of her parents, okay, first off, we have Malcolm, and then her, let me tell you, her mother is so extra, it's not even funny. So her father is named Malcolm, and then her mother is Dorothea, okay? So Malcolm and Dorothea, they have a list of eleganza. They represent Black excellence to a T, okay? Her father is an architect, and then her mother owns like a chain, well, not like a chain because these are rich people we're talking about. So luxurious restaurants, okay? So Naima doesn't really want to be a part of this world at all. She's like, girl, bye. I don't have time for this. I just want to be a normal woman, and I want to get my master's in art education. She just has this passion, this drive to teach this, and I think it honestly comes from her being raised by these really snotty, like, Black, like, I would say stereotypical Black, like, excellence type of parents. And people know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, there's just some African and African American parents that, you know, they don't allow their kids to just be themselves. And then on top of that, they don't allow their kids to pursue, their children to pursue their dreams. And they just say, you know what, if you don't do this, I'm going to disown you. So they're kind of forced into something that they're not comfortable with. This is really common in a lot of Asian culture as well, in different Asian cultures as well, is that the parents are kind of like saying, you know, if you're not a doctor or if you're not in the, you know, in the sciences or something that makes you a lot of money, it's kind of like you're a failure. Now, don't get me wrong, there are exceptions to the rule, but it doesn't apply to this story here, okay? Well, it does a little bit. So what ends up happening is they're having dinner, and Malcolm and Dorothea tell Naima that unfortunately she is going to be in an arranged marriage. And she's like, skirt. She's like, excuse me? I'm getting an arranged marriage? Are you crazy? What's going on here? Like, this is not what I want. And her mom just keeps saying, well, and this is very like true of some black moms and African moms out there. Oh my gosh. The pressure of marriage. Like, once you pass, like, you know, over the age of like 22, it's like game over, okay? And that's how old she's, around like 21, 22-ish, okay? So then they proceed to tell her, like, you know, you need to get your stuff together. And she's like, well, who's this person that I'm gonna be in this arranged marriage with? And the person is named Hiro, and it's Kajiyama. Okay, so hopefully I'm saying that right. It's like Kajiyama. Yeah, Kajiyama. So he's pretty much Takahiro Kajiyama, or she would call him, because they actually like grew up together, or Hiro. He is the chairman of the Kajiyama World Financial, which is like the biggest financial service like company. He had been featured in Forbes and all the works, okay? He is hot property, okay? Like hot, spicy Asian daddy property, okay? So all of this is like a whirlwind for her, and she's like, what the heck? So fast forwarding here a little bit, so what ends up happening, she's like, okay, I will marry him, which I would be like, wow, that's crazy, but sometimes what choice do you have? So she's like, I'll marry him under one condition, and they're like, her parents are like, what? And then she's like, you just stay out of my life. I don't want you involved. I don't want you all in my business. Bye. I don't want do not have anything to do with it. I want to be in control. I'll follow what you say, because her sister is kind of like her competition in a way, because, you know, she got married and then she left her career to have children. So there's a lot of this challenge in a lot of black communities, especially for young black women, and even us, you know, older black women too. There's always this pressure to settle down and have a family, but there's a lot of contradictory, if I can talk today, but there's a lot of contradictions, there we go, that occurs for young black women, especially in higher education. Is you have this struggle of, you know, you gotta stay black, you gotta keep things black, you gotta preserve the black family and all this crazy nonsense. But then you look deep down inside of yourself and you're like, you know what, I want love, and I don't care what color it may be. Now, if you have a preference for black men or men of your own race, that's fine. But I think it's really time to kind of tell these stories of, you know, dating outside of your race is okay, but it still has its challenges, okay? So she's dealing with that competition from her sister, and then what happens is the grandioso wedding. I mean, everything was planned to a T, and then she finally met, to backtrack a little bit, they have kind of like an engagement dinner, and she meets his parents, and then she actually sees Hiro for the first time. And the thing I find interesting about a lot of AMBW like romance books is there's always sometimes a weird like age gap. And there is, I believe, hopefully I'm correct on this, but I believe there is a 13-year age difference between her and Hiro, which would mean that Hiro is 35 and she's like 22. And like, how does that that's like two different ages right there, okay? Sometimes age matches with maturity, depending on the person, but in this case, it does. Like, she's kind of like, he's like really rich and successful, and I'm like basic, you know? And we all feel like that sometimes. But it's time for us, especially as bigger women and as women of color in general, for us to have this self-confidence to know that, you know what, we can have any man that we want, and that includes a successful, fine Asian man, okay? So they meet, And at first things are kind of awkward, and then we'll fast forward here to the wedding and things are still awkward, and then they have to kind of like kiss, and the kiss wasn't really sincere. But then they, you know, they start looking for the house, and then this is when she finds out that Hiro is actually very like down to earth. And she was like, really? I was expecting him to kind of be, you know, controlling and stuff, because usually in these stories, if it's like a millionaire or something like that, he's kind of like a boss and like a jerk off. But he has a really sincere heart. And then her, you know, Nama's heart, or Nima's heart, pardon me, starts to warm up to him, to Hiro, and then they just have this, oh my gosh, the passionate romance and sex scenes in this book is juicy. But it also plays on the tradition of like Asian men really like being seductive in a way, like a soft, sensitive seduction, which is a stereotype, okay? We don't want Asian men to think like all Asian men are like like gentle, because some of them are aggressive, which I like. It's okay. Being extra like always. But they start to kind of correlate, and he allows her, like one of my favorite scenes in the book is when they're going shopping to put things in their house, and he actually picked a very small like 5-bedroom, like, and he really kind of caters to Naima and relates to her, and it shows that it's like a really real and tangible relationship. One of my other favorite scenes is when she finally lets go of this tension, because she's telling her friend Sarai, who I love. Sarai is a spicy piece of something else. She is great, okay? So she's telling her like, hey, you know what? He seems to be a good guy, and she, you know, maybe you should give him a chance. And that's what good friends do, is like, you know, you say like, hey, if it's not working, girl, okay, but at least try to give him a chance and see how it'll work out. So then we fast forward again here, and we get to the part where she finally has this self-actualization that Hiro is actually decent, because literally this guy is waiting on her, ladies, hand and foot. He travels all over the world, takes care of business, but is still coming home to make sure that she is okay and well taken care of. Now, there is one part of the book where he does step over, but I'm not going to tell you that because I really highly suggest you read the book. But overall, guys, like, and here's one of the other things too. There is a plot twist, and let me just say, it completely changes the dynamic of Hiro and Naima's relationship. It's I'll just say it in this way. It's like everything that came in the beginning of the book is no longer tangible. I'll just say it like that. But the ending is really cool too, because they rewrite their relationship, and then there's a redemption in the end of them getting back at, you know, their parents for just being so complacent and controlling and just plain rude. So if I could give this book, of course, once again, In the Quiet Night, a rating, I would give this book a 5 out of 5. The fact that I sat down like a complete geek and I read this book from cover to cover, it is well worth it. I will have the link below so you can get it. But before I go here, I just wanted to share with you how you can find these awesome AMBW books as well. So what you do, and I'm doing it right now as we're talking here, is you go on Amazon.com and, you know, or any bookstore, and just type in AMBW. You'll see AMBW Interracial Romance, but mainly I just go to either AMBW straight or just AMBW Romance. And there is something that Amazon offers, which is called Kindle Unlimited. And what this is there's some of these books that are free to read, but you have to have the Kindle Unlimited subscription. So when you have that, you can actually read it. You can read it on your phone, okay? You can read it on a Kindle tablet, or you can even read it. I read the book actually in the Kindle Cloud Reader, so it just allows you to read it on the computer. The book itself is about 249 pages, so it's not a long read at all, because it felt like I was living their relationship. And I think a good author is someone who is capable of making you kind of fall into the pages. And it made me, like, reading about Hiro and describing him, how fine he was, it like made me fall in love with him. So excellent work. I love this book. Once again, it's called In the Quiet Night by A.C. it's like, I'm a Marius. I tried my best. It's like, I'm a Marius. I tried my best. I tried my best. But let me know if you have read this book. Tell me if you love it or you hate it. And of course, like always, leave your hate comments below. So like I always say, remember to get smart and stay informed.